never been there, and it was not in the House version of the bill, was the Independent Payment Advisory Board. And basically what this does, it has two significant problems. That the board's empowered to make recommendations to Medicare without any input from Congress. And there are supposedly going to be 15 people nominated to this board. It hasn't happened yet. And if that doesn't happen, that leaves this authority in power, not to the 435 people in the House and the 100 in the Senate, but it leaves it to one person, the Secretary of HHS. And I've said I don't care whether that's a Republican or a Democrat, one person should not have that much power. IPAB proposals are considered using fast track. In absence of a 3/5 or 60 vote in the Senate, Congress can only modify the cuts. We cannot change the amount, no matter what the need might be out there from our patients. Should Congress fail to act, it will go into effect immediately. And to make matters worse, the IPAB is exempt from any administrative or legal review. You can't even have a judge or administrative review of this. President Obama's former director, Peter Orszag, OMB director, called the IPAB, and I'll quote this, the single biggest yielding of power to an independent entity since the creation of the Federal Reserve. That is an amazing statement. I want to thank my lead co-sponsor, Dr. Ruiz. We have now have, I believe the last number is over 240 in the HR 849. And in HJ Resolution 51, which we need to get passed before the 15th of August, we have 180 bipartisan co-sponsors. So at this time, I'd like to introduce my colleague and ER physician, Dr. Ruiz.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe. It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon and hello, everyone. I'm Congressman Raul Ruiz, and I'm an emergency medicine physician from California's 36th Congressional District. I am the lead Democrat on this bipartisan bill to repeal the well-intentioned but misguided IPAB. There are two main reasons to repeal the Independent Payment Advisory Board. One, decisions or cuts to Medicare should not be made by 15 unelected appointees who are not accountable to the American people. Nor should one person, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, regardless of party, under the direction of any president, be the sole decision maker on this matter as well. Medicare is too important for our seniors who struggle to make ends meet. The second reason is that the IPAB effort to lower Medicare costs by cutting Medicare payments or benefits to seniors is misguided. It's a misguided way to lower costs. We need to rein in our out-of-control healthcare costs, like the cost of medicine, in order to strengthen the solvency of Medicare. This is a good bipartisan effort to put seniors above partisanship and solutions above ideology. We must pass this bill ASAP, and I want to thank Dr. Rowe for your leadership in this matter. And I now would like to turn the time to Representative Larry Bucshon from Indiana's 8th.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe, and thank you, Dr. Ruiz. I'm Larry Bucshon from Indiana's 8th Congressional District, and prior to coming into Congress, I practiced cardiovascular and thoracic surgery for 15 years. I'm happy today to be here to continue our efforts to repeal the Independent Payment Advisory Board and protect seniors' access to care. I've long advocated for strengthening and preserving the Medicare program for future generations. That should be done by the people's representatives in Congress, not by a board of unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats with near total control over spending in this critical program for our nation's seniors. Again, I'd like to thank Dr. Rowe for his strong leadership and Dr. Ruiz for his leadership on this issue, and I look forward to working with my Chairman Walden, Chairman Brady, and my colleagues on the Energy and Commerce and Ways and Means Committee to repeal IPAB and help protect seniors' health care. At this time, then, I'd like to yield the podium to Dr. Ami Bera from California.
Well, it's an honor to stand up here with my fellow physicians who are also members of Congress. You know, under Dr. Rowe's leadership, with Dr. Ruiz, Dr. Bucshon, myself, and the other doctors in Congress, I think we stand united that the IPAB is not the way to go. None of us disagrees that we have to address the cost of healthcare, that we've got to strengthen Medicare and make sure it's not there just for today's seniors, but it's also there for tomorrow's seniors. That shouldn't be done by an independent group that was not elected, that didn't necessarily go to medical school per se, but it ought to be done by those members of Congress. That's what we were elected to do, Democrats and Republicans, particularly the doctors that are in Congress. Now, I'm proud that we've got a strong bipartisan doctors caucus, and we will continue working on this. So, let's pass the bill that Dr. Rowe and Dr. Ruiz have co-sponsored. You've got large bipartisan co-sponsorships there. And then let's sit down and let's figure out how to make healthcare affordable for today's seniors and tomorrow's seniors as well. So thank you. And with that, I'd like to yield to a longtime friend, Mary Grealy from the Healthcare Leadership Council.
Good afternoon. Today I am here representing nearly 800 organizations from all 50 states, representing patients, veterans, seniors, healthcare providers, Americans with disabilities, employers, and many more. All of them are calling upon Congress to repeal the Independent Payment Advisory Board. Now, all of these organizations and the millions of people that they represent want to have a stronger Medicare program. But a Medicare program that makes healthcare access more difficult, or that simply accesses money from the program without adding value, is not a stronger Medicare. A few moments ago, did not trigger IPAB, is immaterial. IPAB, as long as it stays in place, is inevitable. So we urge Congress to take action now, so that beneficiaries no longer have this threat hanging over their heads. The most sensible action that Congress can take remains embedded in the IPAB legislation itself. If they act before the August 15th deadline to pass a joint resolution, they can rectify this problem. We are confident that the votes are there in both houses with both parties, and we urge immediate adoption of this bipartisan solution. So now I'm very pleased to turn the microphone over to a gentleman who is representing one of those nearly 800 groups that are calling for the repeal of IPAB. Dr. Batjer is chair of the Department of Neurological Surgery at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, and he is also a past president of the American Association of Neurological Surgeons. So we're going to hear from a practicing physician that can tell us what IPAB repeal means to him.
Thank you, Mary, and I'm very honored to be here. I thank Congressman Rowe for the opportunity to speak with you today and participate in these discussions. As a practicing neurosurgeon, I strongly urge repeal of the IPAB. Like the SGR before it, this device does not do things that are healthy for our seniors. It does not foster access to timely care. It does not provide resources that will allow us to innovate and do the kind of scientific research to solve the vexing diseases of the 21st century. Finally, it does not help us create an environment to better train the next generation of physicians that we are currently trying to manage. That requires a lot of resources, a lot of simulation, which is extremely expensive to do. In my field of neurological surgery, not everybody comes in with obvious disastrous injuries. Sometimes just numbness of a hand, a little difficulty finding words, can herald the onset of something catastrophic for that person, like a major stroke, like a brain tumor, or like an aneurysm of the brain. I recently saw a woman who is a Medicare beneficiary who had been referred in as an elective unruptured intracranial aneurysm, brain aneurysm. Many of those patients we follow with just annual surveillance to make sure the lesions don't change. However, it was crystal clear on 5 minutes of questioning that she had actually suffered a major event the week before. She had a leak of that aneurysm, which is often followed by catastrophe and fatal hemorrhage. That is very important to keep in mind if we think about devices such as the IPAB that could create access problems, so someone like her could be put in a weeks-long queue to get access to care. She would not survive. This is exactly the kind of device that will not serve our seniors well as we try to provide the best possible care that they justly deserve. Thank you.
Thank you all, and we'll take some questions if you have any. One of the things I did want to mention that Dr. Batjer brought up was that we had worked in a bipartisan way for over 15 years to get SGR, the Sustainable Growth Rate, a flawed model of how we paid our practitioners, which was beginning to limit access for patients. We finally got that passed in a bipartisan way, and the IPAB basically trumps it. It doesn't matter what the SGR does. If those growth rates exceed certain projections, this kicks in. When that kicks in, that means, as Dr. Batjer said, that patients will be denied access or needed care. So we'll take any questions and direct them. Yes.
Yeah. People talked about how the IPAB not being triggered today is immaterial. Do you think it's going to be a setback for your efforts to get either the bill or joint resolution passed, will take away the urgency? And if everybody's against the IPAB, why are there 240 people, on the co-sponsoring and not 400?
Well, I think what you'll see, I believe, is a lot more than that. What every person that I've sat down and talked to, and the way we've done the co-sponsorships is we just sat down, the two of us, and talked to one person at a time. And usually it's during votes that we do that. So you're going to see a bigger number than we have, no doubt. Everyone I've talked to has been supportive. The fact that it didn't kick in, it's immaterial because it's hanging out there just like SGR was. And it's going to kick in. It's just not if, it's just when.
So Medicare today dodged the bullet, but we shouldn't. Medicare today dodged the bullet, but we shouldn't take that risk in the near future.
Why hasn't it happened yet? Can I ask if it's so important if you guys have this kind of unlocked? What do you see stalling?
We've had some strong leadership in the Senate, which has really emboldened us this time. Senator Wyden and Cornyn in the Senate. We have 12 Democrats in the Senate, which we never had before. You add that to the Republican majority, and you've got above 60. So we have the votes in the Senate now to pass this joint resolution. And I think it's going to pass. I think we're going to get it.
How many in the Senate? You have 60?
We have 12 Democrats, including Senator Wyden, who is one of the leaders on this issue, and Senator Cornyn. I think all of the Republicans will vote for it, and I think more Democrats will too. Just as we talk. This is one of those things. Usually, when we do something, we deserve the blame. Congress. This is now where HHS does something and we get the blame for it. That's what's going to happen. I think the congressmen and senators realize that's what the deal is, and they'll wake up and get this passed.
All right, 2 more questions.
Well, I want to thank all of y'all for coming out on the hottest day of the year. I appreciate you.
I guess, are you optimistic about the August 15th deadline?
Well, I think the only reason I'll have to back off that. We have so much on our plate. Basically, getting time on the Senate, unless the Senate does a unanimous consent, which I would urge them to do, takes up more time on the Senate. Right now, guess what? There's a couple of issues over there that occupy a lot of their time.
Really? Thank you.
Any of you all have anything? Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can go to the